Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into something a little different, but super interesting. We're talking about Pope Francis. Yeah, the current Pope. Most people see him as this calm, peaceful, religious figure, but there's actually a lot more to his story than meets the eye, like way more. Some of these facts might seriously surprise you. So let's get into 7 lesser-known facts about Pope Francis that'll make you see him in a whole new way. Okay, so first up, Pope Francis used to be a nightclub bouncer. Yep, you heard that right. Before he joined the church full-time, Pope Francis worked as a nightclub bouncer in Buenos Aires. Can you even imagine that? The future Pope standing outside a club checking IDs and dealing with, well, you know, drunk people being drunk people. It's kind of an amazing mental image, right? It's like you go out for a night on the town, get a little rowdy, and suddenly the guy telling you to calm down and move along is the future leader of the Catholic Church. It just goes to show you. People have all sorts of unexpected paths. And here's the thing, it wasn't some weird one-off thing either. Being a bouncer was just one of a few jobs he did to support himself while he was studying. He also worked as a janitor and even did some lab work. I don't know about you, but I find that strangely reassuring. Even someone who becomes the Pope has to work these kind of, like, totally normal, kind of tough jobs sometimes. It's oddly relatable, you know? He wasn't just handed this life, he had to hustle a bit, just like the rest of us. So, fun fact about Pope Francis, he's actually missing part of a lung. It's true. When he was about 21, he had this incredibly bad lung infection. Like, seriously bad, guys. It was so serious that doctors actually had to remove part of one of his lungs. I mean, that's major surgery. And you'd think that having only 1.5 lungs would hold someone back, right? Especially with all the traveling and speaking that being Pope requires. That's a lot of standing around, waving, giving speeches. It's gotta be rough on the lungs, but you know what? Pope Francis just powers through it. He never let it stop him. I don't know if it's some kind of superhuman willpower thing or what, but the guy just keeps going. It's actually kind of inspiring in a weird way. It's like, whatever life throws at you, just gotta keep breathing, you know? Okay, so you know how most people picture the Pope living in, like, a super fancy apartment with gold ceilings and velvet everything? Yeah, well, Pope Francis isn't most people. When he became Pope, he made a really interesting decision. He decided to not move into the luxurious papal apartment in the Apostolic Palace. Can you believe that? He could be living in the lap of luxury, but he chose not to. Instead, he opted for a much simpler setup. He lives in a guest house called the Domus Sancti Marthae. It's way more low-key. And it's actually where visiting dignitaries and other church officials usually stay. And it's not just the apartment. He also ditched the fancy Pope mobile and drives around in a regular car. It's all part of his whole thing about staying humble and being closer to, you know, regular people. He wants to live a less extravagant life, especially when there are people in the world who are struggling to even have a roof over their heads. It's a powerful statement, don't you think? Chapter 4, A Controversial Past. Okay, so this next fact is a bit heavier. Back in the 1970s, when Argentina was under a really brutal dictatorship, we're talking a really dark time, Pope Francis was a Jesuit leader, and his role during that period, well, it's still a subject of debate. Some people criticize him, saying he didn't do enough to help those who were being persecuted by the regime. On the other hand, there are those who argue that he was actually secretly helping people escape the dictatorship. They say he had to stay quiet about it to avoid being killed himself. It's a really complicated issue and we might never know the full story, but it definitely shows that Pope Francis was living and working in a really dangerous, morally gray area. It wasn't as simple as good guys and bad guys. It was a time when doing the right thing was incredibly risky, and sometimes even silence was a form of resistance. Chapter 5. Alright, let's lighten the mood a bit. Did you know that before Pope Francis decided to dedicate his life to the church, he actually studied chemistry? Yup, he even earned a degree in it. It's not exactly the typical career path for a future pope, right? I mean, you don't usually associate religious leaders with beakers and test tubes, but hey, maybe that's part of the reason why he's been so outspoken about science-related issues, especially things like climate change. He's one of the first popes to really push for environmental awareness on a global scale. He even wrote a whole encyclical, that's like a big important letter to all Catholics, about protecting the environment. Maybe all that time in the lab gave him a different perspective. Chapter 6. Okay, so this next one is more of a rumor, but it's a pretty cool rumor. There are all these stories going around Rome that Pope Francis sometimes sneaks out of the Vatican at night. And not just for a late-night pizza run, people. They say he dresses in plain clothes to disguise himself and goes out to visit and talk with homeless people. Can you imagine? You're living on the streets, it's the middle of the night, and suddenly the Pope sits down next to you and starts a conversation. Now, it's never been officially confirmed and the Vatican hasn't really commented on it, but there are multiple people who claim they've seen it happen, or know someone who has. And honestly, whether it's true or not, it totally fits with Pope Francis's whole vibe. He's all about walking the walk, not just talking the talk. Chapter 7. Alright, last fact, and this one's a bit more lighthearted, get ready for it. Pope Francis is a big fan of tango music. He even used to dance it when he was younger. I know, right? It's kind of adorable to picture the Pope cutting a rug on the dance floor. And it's not just tango either, he's also a huge soccer fan. He's a loyal supporter of San Lorenzo, a soccer team in Argentina. So, yeah, the Pope is into dancing and football just like a regular person with hobbies and interests. It's just another reminder that even though he's the Pope, he's still a human being with his own likes and dislikes. So there you have it. Pope Francis isn't just the quiet guy in white robes. He's got a past, a personality, and a side most people never hear about. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments what other topics you want me to cover next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.